making. Basically, she is the opposite of guesswork, and she does evidence. So welcome to the panel, Rachel. Next up, we have Kerry Parkin. She is the founder of this amazing agency called The Remarkables. And she's an experienced strategist focused on leadership, storytelling, and impactful brand building. She brings a strong perspective on evolving relationship between creativity, metrics, and modern consumer expectations. Kerry, I think, is our reminder today that behind every data point, there is a human. Is that right? That is what we're all rooting for and hoping to not be irrelevant. So welcome, Kerry. And finally, we have Ekta Chopra. She is the Chief Technology Officer at and AI Officer at Elf Beauty. If you don't know what Elf Beauty has been doing, you're living under a rock. they have they have been doing some amazing work. She's a recognized leader in technology-driven transformation with expertise across AI, digital innovation, and enterprise strategy. She focuses on how emerging technologies can create smarter, more connected, and more impactful consumer experiences. Her work continues to bridge the gap between technology, creativity, business growth at scale, and is building one of the most culturally switched on brand in the world right now. So we're lucky to have you, Ekta. Welcome to the panel. So this panel is basically already living the kind of future most of us are still kind of grappling with or wondering if it's real. And we're hoping to get a lot of insights from you. I'll dive straight into the questions if that's all right. Let me start with Irina. Hi, Irina. We can start with how are global brands balancing data driven decisions with building emotional consumer connections? Because from where I see it, they seem to be in a little bit of an uncomfortable marriage. Please correct us.
Actually, it's a lovely segue into what I was going to say. I think I quite frequently compare modern marketing with a dating app because, on the one hand, data can get you the matches and the date, but only the emotion, the human connections, the consistency of how you show up will actually help you build long-term relationship. So similarly, in marketing, I think we need both. And the balance is becoming a bit trickier, but we do need both. I think on the one hand, data is becoming more valuable. It can tell us who saw the ads that we served, how consumers engaged with them, and even now predict what they might do next. But only the emotion, the storytelling, the meaning behind our communication can help us generate and sustain long-term relationship. So it's really important. So I think magic is still there. I think the core of the magic is the human brain, is how we create storytelling, what we stand for, how we show up consistently across every single touch point. But the only difference now is that that magic has to be machine readable. And in the last 12 months, I think we've seen so much change, probably more change than in the last 12 years.
100%.
And therefore, I think the marketers are now trying to, I think, function on two levels, like still marketing to humans, but also ensuring that we're readable to the machines. And that's the change that we still have not cracked just yet.
Thank you. That is quite interesting. And you see the balance has skewed now more towards data, or is it still at equal level?
I think it really depends. I think it also depends on the brands. I've seen a couple of talks actually, I think from Elf and Marriott and Apple marketing teams this week. And if your business and the brand is really built on human connections, like hotel business, for example, I think it's still very much brand focused, emotional storytelling focused. And there was a very interesting, I think, story that CEO of Marriott has told, and I would like to share it. So they said, for example, you've had an exhausting day traveling to Cannes, your plane has been cancelled, there's a problem with your hotel or Airbnb. It's very hot outside, and you get to the hotel finally, and that, your emotion, your state ads, I think the magic that a lot of brands are still have to, I think, balance toward that, especially if your business is built on human emotion, whereby if you are more maybe B2B brand, that's where I think the performance and kind of the AI will
That is
up to it.
that is really reassuring. Thank you. I think this is a good segue towards Kerry now. Kerry, um, it, how do you think brands can create growth strategies that remain human-centric in an AI-driven world? I mean, is it even a realistic ask anymore, or
Well, I
has
hope
the ship
so.
sailed?
Otherwise, we're doomed as a, as a human race. A human race, not an AI race. So I think this is a really interesting question. So I come from a background of 25 years in-house. And then I started my own PR agency at 47. And
Ooh,
thank you. There is always time
Good
for a
job.
pivot. Thank you. And so I take a very in-house lens to this, in that whatever a brand does, it starts with the humans within the business and the brand, those humans that are living that brand every day. And I think the first thing really internally is, one, making sure the human insights are right in whatever growth strategy you're going after. What are the human insights driving that? What data is telling you what humans actually need? I think the second thing is human collaboration. So we often in-house have our silos, our responsibilities, but I'm seeing more and more clients now having cross-silo task forces. So SWAT teams, essentially, that take the best of all human insight across a business to help the brand grow. And I think that is a really encouraging way forward in this age of AI, where we're getting a lot of automation internally on tasks as well. And I think the really important thing, we've been working in Geo now for over 12 months, and we work with a lot of international brands like TUI, big airlines, etc. And one of the things we know in AI is that you can be recommended, but if you're not a good business and you're not a good corporate citizen and you don't have a good product, they still won't trust you. And I think trust is an incredibly human emotion that AI can't actually give you yet. And I think that is still the human touch in growth strategies. Be a good citizen, do the right thing, engender trust, and then when you show up, people will actually choose you.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Also, the thing that I have noticed and have been hearing about also is good creative, good strategy, good advertising, good marketing will help fail a bad product faster. So everything has to be rooted into what the product is, what your service is. If that is really top notch, when your marketing supports that, it doesn't add up, it multiplies. But in the absence of a good product, it just
But it's so
Vice
true.
versa.
I mean, before I came here and I was looking at the heat wave, I went in chat and said, "Tell me the best neck fan. I'm not dying on the corset." It gave me a whole list, Jesse Seuss, or I can't remember the others, and then it said Shark, and I was like, I know Shark. I trust Shark at home with my fan. I'm going to trust Shark on the corset with my fan. So it's really interesting. It's about the trust still, and that's still a very human emotion.
beautiful, very, very beautiful. Rachel, although, is sitting very close to where consumer signal actually lives. So, according to you, how is consumer behavior changing the way brands approach media and commercial strategy today?
Well, I think consumer behavior is changing, leaning into AI as such a natural behavior now,
Okay,
right? So, when I want to think about that, it's not just that they're used to using AI for their shopping, they're making decisions, like you decided on your neck fan because of Chat or Claude or whoever you asked that was a robot. It's also just such a sort of intrinsic behavior of us all at work now that brands need to lean in from the inside as well. Like when I thought about this question, I was like, yes, consumers are shopping different, and we can buy ads now in LLMs, and OpenAI can think about like how they're approaching the advertising piece. But it's also your internal, like your company's internal marketing to its incoming employees. If you're only using, say, like an LLM wrapper to add a little, like a layer of natural language strategy to how you work and how your tooling works internally, your company feels behind to its own employees. And those are the people who are then doing the media and doing the strategy. So people who work in our industry and on this stuff expect more. And so I think it's changing both how your consumers and your customers are going to interact with your brand, but how we all in this room put our brands out there. And there's that certain expectation that things internally also need to feel innovative, need to feel AI integrative, like it's in the bones of your product and in the bones of your organization and how everybody works. And so I think that that's really affecting kind of how your brand then speaks to consumers because it's your internal culture.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And it is, I suppose, only going to keep evolving. But have you seen this shift or this changed like exponentially in just like a few months?
Oh my God, and yes.
Yeah, right? And how do you deal
Probably
with that
6
kind of
months.
speed and the kind of evolution that one has to keep up with is
Yes, that one has to keep up with.
unprecedented.
I think it's really also interesting. So I've been at PubX for 1 month now. So I was recently looking for new opportunity and evaluating a lot of companies. And one of the things that I was looking for was something that really felt innovative. And it was shocking to me how many, not to throw anything under the bus, but like how many, especially larger companies, felt like they were behind or felt like it was lagging, and not for the lack of adding AI to their customer processes. And I'm thinking of my customers as like my clients like Elf Beauty or my clients like Coca-Cola, right? Like our processes to you and how you interact with my company as a vendor partner. It was really difficult, and I was kind of shocked. And I live in San Francisco, so I'm in a little bit of an AI bubble as well. But a year ago, I wouldn't have cared about those things. And now you think, where is this going a year from now? Like, what are our expectations going to be? And how do we keep everyone kind of at the same level and doing the same thing together also? So nobody feels behind and everybody feels inspired, including internal and external customer constituents.
And yet unnerving. But yes, I'd love to ask you, Ekta. AI continues to transform the marketing landscape. How can brands use technology and consumer intelligence create experiences that feel both measurable and deeply human? And I asked you this question specifically because Elf is actually doing it, and we just like you to tell us the secret.
The secret sauce? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I might get
Just
fired.
spill the
if I do
beans.
that. What I'll say is both can be true, and I think a really good creative can perform as well. And I think that's the magic that you always want to get to. And when I think of that perfect, sort of unison, I think of our Change the Board Game campaign. And it was driven with a purpose, getting more women on the board. In US, about 27% of boards have women on it, and we want to see more women on the board, right? And that campaign drew organically 14 billion views. And so when you think about bringing your purpose, humor, a campaign that can change people's life, and it won a Cannes Silver last year. So it was, this is just one example of all the campaigns that we do. So what I always like to think is that, both things can be true. If you do a good campaign, you really can drive measurable results as well. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much. But Rachel, can you build on that in terms of how do you think, what kind of opportunities do you see emerging through data audience intelligence that brands aren't moving fast enough towards?
I think that, the things that are changing are the speed at which you can get that data. Like you ran a campaign, you've got 14, but that's amazing, by the way. Also, that's an important campaign.
Yes. And again,
More women on boards. I am the only woman on a lot of, anyway, it's fine. I think that the speed at which people can intake that customer transactional data, the things that I'm seeing in terms of being able to take it in, organize it, ask for what you need, and activate that into something that's a campaign reaching your audience based on like what your competitors are selling best yesterday, that was not possible before. The decisioning and across, say, like first-party audiences from 17 different beauty brands that one buyer agent can come in and make in almost real time from that data or transactions happening and surface like at the individual level at scale, like cherry pick the right audience. That wasn't possible. I'd say a couple years ago, when you think about especially a CPG or beauty, food and bev kind of product that was relying on data that ties the offline purchase to the online, agencies and brands were waiting months for the intelligence to come back. And then once the intelligence came back in a big fancy report, then there was this strategy about, sorry, I feel sound so negative. There was a strategy about, how do we then use this and reach our customers differently based on the purchase data that came in? Well, today there are a number of companies that receive trillions of transactional data points at scale every day, and the AI is organizing it, and then it allows the planners and strategists to literally use that LLM wrapper and ask for what they need and activate tomorrow. And there's identity spines and other solutions like that that are allowing you to connect, whether it's competitive data to your own historical, and it's just happening so fast. And you can be so much more effective with your outcomes if you know, I'm just gonna make this up, but if you're like Taco Bell and you know what El Pollo Loco is succeeding at right now, like what they did yesterday that worked, and then hit up all the Taco Bell people about that and sell more things. And with a 7-month lag in data intake even, you would never have been able to do that.
And I just want to chime into that. When I think about sort of the buzzword before AI was personalization, then it was one-on-one personalization, hyper-personalization, and it was always because the underlying problem was the content supply chain. You could never get it like a flywheel.
Correct.
And today, technology can actually allow you to do that. AI can allow you to do that. But where you still need is that soul and that from the human to actually make sure that it is relevant. And it's going to make sure it's not that one-time interaction. Yes, you can do that at scale, but it's the interaction that you build as a human that's going to make it repetitive. So I think the technology is solved for a lot of the great things that you're talking about, but I think the human interaction piece of that, how do you make it so it's building that next level connection, I think that's where, AI is still evolving.
Amazing. And Irina, you might have a different point of view or probably the same, but we'd love to understand how, what shifts are you seeing and how marketing effectiveness is being measured today? Because I don't think the industry has fully agreed on what good even looks like. So there is no one common consensus. There are lots of like chimes and gut feels and guesses. But do you have something more concrete?
I think we're seeing two big shifts in how we measure effectiveness. I think the first shift is around a move from measuring just traffic, traffic impressions, visit to the website, to measuring influence. And by influence, it can be a share of recommendations by LLMs. Obviously, it's been disrupted. The whole industry is being disrupted. But for decades, we as brands competed for a share of physical shelf in store. Then we competed for a share of search online. Then we competed for a share of social feed across social media. And now we're starting to compete for share of recommendations within the LLMs.
Visibility. Always competing.
Exactly, and it's emergence. I think to all, to the points of other panelists, our metric suite is expanding. So emotion is still very poor. We need to measure. We need to continue to measure the human connection and engagement with the brand and all that brand trust and loyalty. But we also need to start measuring the machines, how they recommend us. And within that, there is a whole new world of metrics like show, and within all the LLMs, we show up differently as a brand. So I look after several Coca-Cola brands. Some LLMs have been trained on historical data, some of them on the real life data. And for the same prompt, you show up negatively on some and more positively on others. So it's really, really important to actually measure everything across everything live. And AI powered dashboards help us do it more real time. And the second shift we're seeing is a move from the attention economy to the attachment economy. So, we can, AI and data can tell us who saw our ads, how many impressions were served, but it can't really tell us if customers cared about what they saw, if they will remember us. And that's why there is so much more value in the personal experiences and a live concert to a live panel to a live event or a live experiential activation by a brand is so much more in demand. We will see brands doing more of that going forward, and that will and within I think this type of activations will have to continue to measure emotion, but we have to add visibility with LLMs to ensure that those customers who can't participate in real-time experiences, they can still see us or see what we have done within LLM search queries.
I'll just say, because I had a really great experience yesterday at the Pinterest activation. And when I walked in, they actually gave sort of a cover for your phone. And the whole thing was, you're here, live the moment, and just cover your phone. Don't use your phone. And there was like you could go and build something with your hands. And I think those things are actually going to become more relevant and more valuable, because where you can actually use your hands and enjoy an experience in the moment. And AI will obviously be a part of somehow there, but I think that human live connection is even just more valuable.
Kerry, you had
Yeah, I
something
just
to
wanted
add.
to, I totally agree with that. I loved that
Yeah.
activation. I was like, all right, you've got me. I'm here now.
Yeah,
I'm here now. I'm here. But I just wanted to build on your point as well. So I do campaigning, I do crisis, I do geo. And so we do a lot of work in AI visibility. But being visible doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. Because if you've done the bad thing as a corporate citizen, you're visible for all the wrong reasons. And so a lot of the people we're talking to on the flip side of corporate affairs and in CEOs is, oh God, they're surfacing that thing from 2019 that nobody wants us to talk about anymore. And there it is, up in front. And so we talk a lot about not just visibility, but is it good visibility or bad visibility?
That must be such a big part of your job, right?
It's huge, yeah.
To clear the weed out of.
Absolutely, and that is a full-time job for any business. And actually, two things I've taken away from Cannes this week. One is who owns this as a conversation, and the second is can you actually modify trained data?
Yeah,
And I don't think you can erase history, is my personal opinion. I don't know if you've got a different one.
No. I will add something. I read an article yesterday where actually more budgets are given to the PR and comms team now because of this exact
Absolutely.
reason.
Yeah.
When you think about visibility, it's your own channels, but the third-party channels as well that you have to manage, and that trust factor that you can only do that through,
It's so, sorry, just to build on that really quickly, because you touched on a really interesting point there, but in one client alone that we've just worked on, we did something like 180,000 citation reviews, and around 70% of that recommendation as a thematic across 9 markets was coming from earned media, from PR, as a reputational anchor.
But was it a crisis management, or was it just building?
No, that
from
that actually was a crisis, but it's pretty similar actually when you're trying to sell widgets as well.
Wow, that's a
It's huge. As an
number.
anchor, it depends on the LLM, as you said, right? Because they're different, but yeah.
But is it still true that the internet doesn't forget?
Well, really interesting. Yeah,
It's the fear
Yeah,
that everyone
so
is living in.
so true.
But
yeah.
I still
But be a
wanna
good corporate
continue-
citizen, and you don't have to forget. That's the number one message.
Just try to be remembered for the right thing.
the right thing.
Do the right thing.
But Kerry, I want to ask you another question.
Yeah.
Maybe there is some intersection there. But what does meaningful marketing success look like beyond metrics? And I think this is a question I mean, this whole conversation has to build too. What is it? What does meaningful marketing success look like?
I mean, ultimately,
Show
it's
us the North Star.
okay. It's the business success, right? We're all here because we work for businesses. They have financial objectives. They want to stay in business for a long time. Everything we do is laddering into a strategic business objective, or as it should. I just want to do a quick poll. So, how many of you have been to Cannes before? Okay. How many of you used an LLM to figure out what you were going to do in Cannes? Yeah. Okay, most of you. How many of you use like an online travel agent this year? Okay, that would have been very high last year. What's really interesting, and a lot of people think this is a marketing thing. It's not actually. It's a business thing, and boards are really worried about this at the moment. So an online travel agent, take one, whether that be on the beach if you're in the UK, or a TUI, or just think of one where you live. They've seen an 80% decline in web traffic because everyone's going to ChatGPT now, or choose your LLM of choice, Claude in the US, but whichever, asking them to build them an itinerary and they're booking direct. So that, from an OTA perspective, that's business critical. They're about to go out of business if people are not coming to their website and going direct through chat. And so what we see is actually more CEOs and boards asking us to come in and give them advice on, well, can we pay our way in? Can we play our way in? Or can we earn our way in? And we start to have those conversations now. So the success really is about, A, your business not going under, like a Compare the Market or an OTA, because that's what the LLMs are doing. It's about making sure that your business is future-proof. I mean, you raised a great point. I mean, we're all talking, right, as if we know what we're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing, right? It's all going to change in 3 months. It changed last 3 months, right? We're all learning on the job, and we're doing it really well, and we're experimenting, and we're trying, and we're in the conversation. But the businesses are expecting us as marketeers and comms professionals to show up, have an answer, have a goal, and try and keep their businesses going in a world which is changing on an almost daily, if not weekly basis. And I think that's fascinating. I haven't seen a revolution like this, because I'm old, since the dawn of web. You know, I remember so many businesses died because they said, well, you don't need a website, do you? I mean, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you kind of did, or you died. And this is pretty much the same juncture we're at now.
Yeah, it is terrifying. But I want to keep this part of the conversation.
It's exciting.
It's great. Honestly, I'm so excited.
Joy.
No, but I would love to understand, what is the thing that you find terrifying and what is the thing that you find exciting? And you can...
I'm going to go risk first, if I can, just because, as I said, crisis and issues, 15 years, over 96 markets, makes you a little bit crisis aware. For me, if something hits a business, you have exactly 3 hours in recency to get it right. Now, you know, if the media's wrong, if the player's wrong, that's going to start getting translated into embedded memory, which is even harder to kind of modify. So for me, from a risk perspective, being on it is changing the game and how we work.
Anyone else for
Yeah.
terrifying?
I can say, yeah, for both. So what's exciting is how democratized building things and solving your own problems has been, and not having to go to an engineer or my team of engineers and wait. Like, I can build an app. I'm not a technical person. I'm also the person who has 20 years of experience and understands what the problem is that I need to solve, and can, within an hour, I have a solve in a dashboard and an app that does it. And if I want to push that live for other people to use, I can. So all of a sudden, everyone can do what we used to have to rely on other teams or a
skills.
waiting period to do. That's awesome. And like I said, my friends who are not in the tech or media industry are also building in Claude, which is cool, you know, just to see that, people that are like in the music industry. What's terrifying are 2 things I can think of. One is the opportunity and thinking about how it changes for like entry level jobs and people. Those are a lot of things that we are automating, and then it sort of, I'm thinking of like the younger generation coming up, and how, you know, my godson, who's 22, is being told advice like, you know, you should really learn trades like plumbing or building instead, because they're like hands-on things. And I'm like, oh, guess what? In China, they've got these robots that do those things already too. So the new jobs and the sort of easier things, how that's going to go away. Terrifying one. The second one is the cost of the AI. So there's this hidden kind of cost problem. And a lot of the talk is about, is AI going to take people's jobs? Is AI gonna, oh my God, is my job safe? I actually don't think it's that. You start listening to the talk behind like the large layoffs at these big companies, it's not that the AI is replacing what the people did, it's that the AI strategy they leaned into costs so much that they now can't afford their people. Unexpected compute bills. You know, the very publicly Uber and talked about, and there was press about it a couple weeks ago, that they set an AI budget, their engineering team, that's a giant company, for the year. They blew through it by April. And the CTO was like, I don't even know what we're gonna do. We have to set like AI usage limits for our employees, or but you know, so that is a concern. That is a business problem, no matter what business that you're in.
And that nobody saw coming,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we saw this crumbling in bigger agencies where the credits were taken away and everyone
Yeah.
was really struggling. So that's
And-
interesting. But yes,
Yeah,
please
I mean,
go.
I'll just say that one of the things that I've been talking about is let it rip or lock it down. And I think both can be true, because if you lock this down, you're killing innovation. But if you let it rip, risk is just tremendous. And financially, it doesn't make sense as well. So the really making sure, as you're bringing into the organization, you do have to make sure that both opportunities are there, but how you bring them to the organization with some layer of governance and observability is going to be the key.
On the terrifying note, outsourcing everything to agents, it's quite terrifying. Even now we're talking about agentic commerce. There are agentic social networks where agents are talking to agents. It's literally terrifying, and just losing the control as a brand, as a consumer, I guess, to something that understands you, manages your budget, it can be quite tricky. And in terms of the excitement, I'm actually excited what's going to be next in terms of the sources of information, I guess, to the cloud. Back in the day, every single brand had to have a website. Then we had to have apps. What's next? If consumers are not going, there are no landing pages. But LLM still use some sources to quote things. What the source would look like.
Where is the reference?
Yes, and I'm quite excited. Quite figuring out what this.
That's wonderful. And just to add what Rachel said, I think some of the things the examples that you gave, everyone's able to have the freedom and the power to build stuff. And I think at some point, at some level, it's become a bit of a level playing field in terms of skills. And now it's just about the ideas that can get you the advantage or not.
What are you excited and worried about?
I am super excited about, oh, let me say this. The agency that I'm running right now, and it's not just about the headcount, the kind of things that we can do with the small team, and I've worked at large agencies across the world. The things that like an army of people would do, we're able to build in no time, faster, better, with lesser skill, with better efficiency. Like it's unbelievable, and we have not even scratched the surface. So I personally think it's only exciting, but I do worry about the next generation. That is something that I have a 10-year-old, and I don't think the jobs or the opportunities that he will have in the future even exist now. We don't know what the schooling is going to impact. We just don't know. It's just, yeah, it's so unknown that it's terrifying. One final question for everyone before we wrap, and we'll keep it really short because we have 4 minutes. Because we're talking about the topic of marketing effectiveness, can you tell us what the future of creative marketing effectiveness looks like in the age of AI? We'll start with Irina, and then all the way.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I'm sorry, I get the best for the last.
The future of creative marketing effectiveness. I think it will be a friendship between machines and humans.
Wow,
We
that's
have
beautiful.
we can't change where we're going. I think we just have to make friends with it and just make the most of it and have fun along the
get that information real time, and you're able to act on sort of the cultural movements and so forth. So I think it's a lot more real time than ever before.
So don't drop the ball
Don't drop the ball.
for a second. You blink and you miss.
Yeah, I'd say it's the complete attachment. So it's kind of like an attachment theory, I think, is where we'll start to see measurement moving to, is what's my attachment to this brand or business, and where do I show that attachment and that love? I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I think that reiterates what you mentioned about the attachment economy, which is now taking.
Yeah, and even so I was going to say, thinking more from the creative side, being that we're at the Lions, I think it's, AI is accelerating so fast, as we talked about. The creative connection, I think it's going to be like a bell curve. I think we're going to go up, up, up. Like, everything's getting created so fast. You can make all this generative content. Most of it is crap. And the more that people try to do things really fast, you lose the heart of that creative. And I think people are going to realize this, and that is going to be the part of our industry that pulls back on AI first.
Yeah, we're already seeing this trend, aren't we? We're sick of the AI slop, and
know.
we're finding real people saying real stuff, which is also explaining the boom of creator economy. But are there any other questions for the panel? We have a minute. All right, we can call this a wrap. Thank you, Irina. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Ekta. Thank you, Kerry. You've given this room a lot to think about and even more to act upon. So I think the one thing I'm leaving today is with the thought that in the age of AI, being human is the strategy. So let's try and follow that. But thank you so much. This was amazing.